and I was crushed. And, I had suffered, as we do, with anxiety and depression most of my life. But this anxiety and depression, after all of this was happening, was the worst I had ever had. And I'm laying in bed. I had quit work. I have children. I have a husband. I'm trying to do everything. But at this moment, it was laying in bed and just wanting to give up. And I feel like so many people have hit that. There's not enough answers, or we're given an answer like that.
Juli, how did you find Carnivore?
So in October of 2022, I was teaching, and of course, we were still going through a lot of the stresses of life, including, my students being pulled out every couple of days for viruses. So it was a very stressful time. But in October, I was standing up in front of my students, and I heard this huge sound coming from my head. And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's an anxiety attack. So I started questioning what's going on. And whenever that happened, I started noticing that, well, there were other symptoms that I had been having that I didn't really notice before. So I had dizziness, headaches, vertigo, and then I got the pounding in my head. After doing some more research, I found out it was pulsatile tinnitus that I was hearing. I had pain all over my body, anxiety, blurred vision, and it was one thing after another that I kept realizing, well, I have been dealing with this, thinking, well, it's just part of a virus. It's just part of this. So it was really big. In November, I went to an ear, nose, throat doctor for the sound. I was managing pains and other stuff with medication, still working during this time. And the ENT, when I explained all of my symptoms and told him everything that was going on, he said, well, it's just because you're fat, flat out. So I was kind of in shock. And I could quote that. That's exactly what came out of his mouth. So it was a big shock for me. I went to urgent care, and I was told that there was nothing wrong with me. And so that was November. By January, we got a new insurance plan, and I had to wait to get approved for a primary care doctor. And it was so many different steps. We didn't have a primary at the time. So it was crazy. So just to even talk to a doctor, I had to wait till April. During this time, in my 20s, early 20s, I had been a vegetarian. I had done juice cleanses for 2 weeks at a time. I had done so many smoothies, everything that you can imagine. It was just, I was always, trying to be healthy, protein shakes every day. And so during this time, I tried it again. I'm like, well, let me try to be a vegetarian again. And I got worse. Let me go on a juice cleanse. I got really worse. My inflammation, the pain, allergies. If anyone was sick near me, I got sick. So, and at the same time in December, I actually quit working. I just couldn't work anymore. I couldn't stand up in front of my students and speak and teach when I had pounding and pain and everything. So in April, finally got to see a primary care. She did some blood work. Then the next week calls me. It was an emergency. And she said, your blood work came back and you have high cholesterol and this is causing everything. And I was crushed. And, I had suffered, as we do, with anxiety and depression most of my life. But this anxiety and depression, after all of this was happening, was the worst I had ever had. And I'm laying in bed. I had quit work. I have children. I have a husband. I'm trying to do everything. But at this moment, it was laying in bed and just wanting to give up. And I feel like so many people have hit that. There's not enough answers, or we're given an answer like that. So I filled the prescription for a statin because that was what she requested. And I'm laying in bed and I didn't feel good. I didn't feel right. I could sense something was wrong. And so I tried to find my own answers. So I'm scrolling through YouTube and Google and anything I could think of. And I found your videos, Dave. And I found Dr. Barry's videos, and I found Dr. Chapey's videos, and all of you wonderful carnivore, what is the word? Video makers, contributors. I found you guys. And that was like my greatest despair. And to hear somebody say that there's hope, to hear Dr. Barry say that, the doctors can be full of shit, or, so, Dr. Barry. And I did, I researched, I found medical journals, I started reading on cholesterol. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I have braved juice fasts for 2 weeks at a time. What is it going to hurt? Because right now, at that moment, I felt like I had nothing else to live for. So I went cold turkey on April 28th, 2023, 262 days ago.
From April 28th until now, I mean, you certainly look bright, so it doesn't feel like, what you've described doesn't feel like it's weighing you down so much. So what has improved in the time that you've been
Everything.
carnivore?
Yeah, so everything has improved. So you start at the top, right? My hair used to fall out where it was like in the bottom of the shower, and it was always dry. So hair, skin, no more acne. And I have something called sebaceous hyperplasia, and I used to have to go in, and the dermatologist would zap them, and it was a very painful procedure. 2 to 3 times a year. I haven't went back. My sinuses have cleared up. My teeth, like the hygienist is like, there's nothing on your teeth like there's nothing there. So teeth are better. The pains that I had have all gotten better. No more aches, no more pains. I mean, of course, occasional. I'm in my 30s, but there's occasional things. But I used to have on the back of my neck, like I felt like I was a humpback, or something. Like it felt like something was there. And I know it now, it was just inflammation. My brain, so the dizziness went away. The vertigo went away. I have less anxiety and depression. So I don't want to say that I'm 100% cured, because we all have our off days, and I'm still experiencing the tinnitus, which has improved over 50% or more. But there's bad days. But for the most part, I can honestly say that carnivore has saved my life.
I mean, when you describe it with a list like that, it really does feel like, this is a new life, right? Like it's chalk and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I feel like that. It's hard because I had quit my job, and, I have suffered within this amount of time. But I know that because carnivore has allowed me to get better with like the anxiety, the depression. I mean, I was literally laying in bed most of my life during this time, and trying to take care of my family. And so it's gotten me up. I remember the first couple of weeks on carnivore, I got up and went outside, and looked around and noticed things again. And this is zero medication. So.
And actually, speaking of zero medication, so you've given the statins away?
I took statins for 2 days after I was told to take them. And those were the 2 days during that period when I finally found carnivore. Before all of that, the year before, so 2022, in December of 2022, I quit a handful of medications. However, I was still taking over 15 supplements a day. And when I started carnivore, I was just like, I'm giving it all up. And so, I mean, literally, I would take 15 pills with a protein shake every morning. And I'm wondering, why am I unhealthy? Why is this happening to me? Like, I'm doing it right. I used to run up and down the stairs when I was teaching and just try to get exercise and do the diet. My students would come in and I'd have a huge blender full of smoothie. And they would like laugh at me. And I'm like, no, this is the thing, kids. Like, listen to me. This is how you do it. And I look back now, those poor children.
So, how has this been with your family? Are they on board with this with you?
I would love to say yes. My children have like this thing against meat. It's a texture thing. It's been ups and downs with my children. My husband absolutely loves meat. He will eat a ribeye steak if I'm having a ribeye steak, but he also wants his sides. So they don't do carnivore, but they're respectful and understanding. A couple of times my youngest daughter, she's 8, she's come home and said, Mommy, the people don't understand how meat is so healthy. And I try to tell them that it's better than vegetables, and healthier than vegetables. And I have to say, well, baby, sometimes it may not be appropriate to talk about it right now. It's hard, and especially hard for children.
Yeah, better at least said soonest mended for the kids at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, how are you eating day to day?
I eat usually just once a day, sometimes twice a day. I'm not as hungry as I used to be. Like I said, I used to drink a smoothie blended, and I was starving. I was ravenous. We won't even talk about the irritability during my juice cleanses. I was just suffering all the time. And now I'm content with a couple of eggs, leftover ribeye or whatever for brunch, and a ribeye. Like, that is the thing. Ribeyes are the jam. So, yeah, I take it easy. In the beginning, it was not as easy. You get in these traps like, well, I can't have anything else, so I'm going to have a sparkling water. And then before you know it, the trash can's full of empty cans of sparkling waters, and you think, well, I just can't afford this. Well, no, well, maybe I can afford a couple more steaks if I'm not drinking sparkling waters, so you get stuck in these, well, I'm going to eat pork rind traps, or, I'm going to try this recipe or that. And then the longer it goes on, like maybe around 4 months, I was just like, ribeye, that's what I want. I want ribeye. Or hamburger, other things.
So, have you gone back to working now that things have improved?
No, right now they have found some things that I am going with, like with my health. So there are some possibly vascular issues, also issues within my neck. And that's part of my ups and downs. So ups, I mean, carnivore is amazing. I feel amazing. Everything's wonderful. But on those down days, it has a lot to do with internal stuff that is actually happening. So Hopefully I can go back to work by this next year or so. So I'm just taking it day by day, and it's okay.
Yeah. So for someone watching this, that they might be doing juice cleanses themselves, and they might be thinking, there's no way this is possible. How can you eat just one time a day and feel full and never have anything else? I have my juice and then I'm hungry within an hour. As soon as I see a TV commercial for food, I'm hungry. So carnivore kind of seems like this magic pill. It solves all these problems and you're never hungry. How can you put it into words as someone who did the juice cleanses yourself? How can you explain to them, look, this is the way you should be eating?
So when during my little juice cleansing and my smoothies, literally I was buying like a pound of kale per day. It's just part of it. You this big old tub of kale, and I would juice it or I would drink it as a smoothie. But 1 pound of meat compared to that 1 pound of kale, I mean, that kale is nothing standing up to that meat. The meat has so much nutrition, and your body's just needing that and craving that. And so once you start giving your body that, it doesn't need all the excess that we feel like, all the fiber, and we need all of these carbs, and actually we don't need it. Like, your body is happy just getting that nutrition, the nutrition from the meat. So, and it's hard. it's hard when you're first starting, and we've been told forever what we're supposed to eat, and it's wrong. But our body, it's hard.
So actually, I agree, we've been told forever about this stuff. And we've been told, you need to eat your greens, you need to eat 5 a day or 10 a day or however many they decide that particular year, and like take supplements and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? Especially like taking 15 supplements a day, like you were, that must have been costing a fortune.
I think, because since I was in my early 20s, I was drinking 2 protein shakes a day, and I slowly built up over years that amount of supplements. And we always budgeted for mommy supplements and the protein and the vegetables. We always budgeted for that. And it's amazing because now, like, we don't even have to add in the ribeyes or the beef, like, it's just part of it. It's so much cheaper. My supplements, I would order orders that were just hundreds of dollars, and I was always trying to find deals and this and that. And I guess I've switched to finding more deals for meat now. And I'm actually, like, I really believe I'm saving money. A pound of kale, I mean, literally, I would go through a pound of kale or a pound of collards, or, anything I could juice or drink in a smoothie, and it's more expensive than meat. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I see these kind of supplement shops now. There's not even a section of the supermarket or the pharmacy now. It's like they have supplement shops, and just walk past them and I think, I want to put up a sign in front of there that says, just eat some real food and you don't need any of this junk.
yeah.
You
And it's
know?
crazy for me because I wholeheartedly have always believed in supplements. My mom had me on a multivitamin when I was in high school, and then it just slowly progresses because you hear this and that and this and that. And there's days when I think, oh, maybe I need a supplement. I used to take hair, skin, nail, like any type of supplement, I had it. And it's difficult to finally just realize that you don't actually need all of that. And I would have never known if I didn't just say, I'm done with this. Because who knows, if I would have continually had the supplements at the same time trying to switch over to carnivore, maybe a little credit would still be going that way. But because I said I'm not taking any more supplements, I'm going to just do carnivore. And I did it cold turkey. Now I can actually, my body can feel everything. And I know, like, my nails are stronger, my hair's stronger, it's not falling out, my skin is better, you know, everything, not dizzy, everything, anything you can imagine. So
And how have your extended family and your friends reacted? Like how is it going out for lunch with friends or something?
I don't often go out with to lunch with friends, but my parents are not on board. Um, and it's interesting. My mother-in-law is the only one who has switched over to carnivore, and yeah, yeah, and she's doing amazing, and I'm really proud of her because she's just tough. She toughed it out, you know, and she's doing it. My parents have a lot of other health issues, and so it's a little more difficult, and you know, to take a leap like that. And I don't blame them at all. And you know, they're all in their 60s, and so they grew up. I mean, I remember butter, you know, just being a child with my parents. The salt shaker, you had to do very little salt. The butter, very little. Like if you even had butter, right? They would prefer you to eat the margarines. You know, and it's just what was fed into us. And so yeah, so it's hard. But if I was to give some advice, um, one of my favorite videos that you have is your bell shine video. And so I kind of, I always try to imagine like, I'm not going to be the bell shine carnivore, right? Like, we want to tell people you should do carnivore. We want to do this, but I don't want to be the opposite bell shine carnivore one. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you don't want to get like dogmatic about it and
Yeah.
like overly kind of, you got to do this. Yeah. But I'm interested. What was it that swayed it for your mother-in-law?
Um, I think because one of the things that I have never done carnivore for is weight loss, even when I was told that I was fat. I'm not sure, but I think it was because I've lost weight. And I think that it was just that people are starting to notice. And I've lost a significant amount of weight. And, I don't want people to think I did carnivore for that. I did it for health. I did it for all of the ailments, and, I couldn't even work, and all of these different reasons. But the weight loss is there, and the weight thing is amazing. And so, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Nice. So, um, where do you see this going from here? Do you see yourself sticking to carnivore forever? Do you see any changes happening, whether it's related to eating or exercise?
So, as far as exercise, when my head gets better, and I am going to see some more specialists and stuff, but when that's better, my exercise, like, I wish I could just go running. And I mean, when you do carnivore, you have so much energy, and I want to do it, right now I have to take it easy, but I am, I mean, carnivore for life. However, I have to say, like when you go on vacations and stuff, it's a little difficult. And I've learned so many tricks and stuff, but like we went to a very popular theme park, and you could find vegan everything. You could turn a corner, find a vegan hamburger, vegan this, vegan that, but I could not find, like, if you ask for a double patty, they looked at you like you were crazy. Like a double patty with no bread. What? I can't put that. They couldn't push the buttons in, and it gets pricey. So, I don't ever want to go back. I'm always I'm going to want to be a carnivore forever. But it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's very difficult when you get into situations like that where you go and say, I just want the patty or I just want the steak, and then it's, oh, but I how how do I press the buttons to do that? Or, but in
Yes.
Japan, I'll say, in some restaurants, I just want the steak. You don't have to bring the rice. You don't have to bring the salad or the soup or whatever. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh, yeah, okay, but it's not going to be cheaper. And it's like, I didn't ask that. I didn't
Yeah,
ask that. I just said, don't bring it.
right.
Yeah. So the reactions are kind of strange. So whereabouts do you live in the US?
I live in New Mexico, which
Okay.
is in the southwest part of the United States, and
Yeah.
very rural. So, like even for my health, like all of the things that that I'm still dealing with, I'm gonna have to go all the way to New York. So it's gonna be a fun adventure. I'm already preparing to make jerky and like anything I can for my trip. So it's gonna be a big adventure, but I'm hopeful.
Where you are in New Mexico, how like is steaks and stuff are pretty cheap relative to the rest of the US, or is it kind of higher?
I honestly don't know. I do know that I'm sensing like this huge movement of carnivore right now, because I get on YouTube and the feed is like, whoa, watch this person, this person, this person, this person. And I'm like, when I started this in April, it was you guys, like, right, Dave, and Dr. Barry, and like, and now it's so big. And I noticed that the price of steak has skyrocketed. And I'm like, what is going on here? You guys, like, stop making it expensive for me. But it's exciting. It really is. It's super exciting that so many people are finding it. And like, there's a couple of videos I just scroll through, and some people are on day 2 and day 9, or whatever, and it just warms my heart. I'm so excited to see things like that.
So you listed a lot of benefits that you've had from being on carnivore,
Mm-hmm.
and you also talked about you've had weight loss. Um, a lot of people start this way of eating for weight loss, and I know in your case you didn't, but a lot of people start this diet and looking for weight loss, but then once everything else happens, they get more energy, they sleep better, they're putting on
Mm-hmm.
more muscle without doing anything, all of these things, um, depression clears, suddenly the weight loss takes a back seat. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the other things. The weight loss is just the icing on the cake. And people are often like, if I put some of the weight back on, I wouldn't care as long as I can keep all the other stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, of all those improvements that you have had, and I know they're all important, especially because of the condition that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, could you pick one, or could you name one that's perhaps made your life the most easy?
The mental stuff like anxiety and depression, but I guess that's two, but anxiety, literally having something that happened to me, like it did, the sound, the pounding, the dizziness, everything, and then to be told that you're perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with you, by doctors, or just treat it the way I was and not have any answers, your anxiety just increases so much. Like, we don't do good that way. We need to know, we need answers, and not having any answers. So by doing carnivore, it got me out of bed, it got me functioning, it got me moving again, and the anxiety went down so much. So that's number one for me.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, like, a bad answer is better than no answer, right?
Yeah.
You know, of
Yeah.
course, a good answer is the best, but even a bad
Yeah.
answer is better than nothing, right? Because you can't do anything with nothing.
Right. So like when the ENT told me flat out, everything you're going through, it's just because you're fat. That was at least an answer, and if I did carnivore and I lost a little weight, well, maybe that would suffice that answer that I had, which,
Mm-mm-mm.
so yeah.
Nice. So, do you have a YouTube channel yourself, Julie?
I do not know. If somebody's listening to you, Dave, and they hear me and I help one person, then I feel good in my heart. So
That's lovely. Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you.